Hi there, spinning friends. It's time for another Q&A. So grab something nice to drink, you're spinning or you're knitting, and let's jump into it. All right, friends, so I have all my questions written down again. Thank you all again so much for your lovely comments. You are so sweet to me. Thank you so much. I really appreciate each and every one of you that takes the time to comment on my videos, whether it is just a kind word or you have a question. So please keep those questions and kind things coming. I really appreciate it, okay? Also, very special thank you to my channel members. They'll be up here. They help keep this channel running, and I really appreciate them. So thank you. If you are interested in becoming a channel member yourself, there is a link to that in the description below. All right. Channel member Brittany asks, what does your spending time look like in your day? Brittany is a stay-at-home mom and a homeschooling mom, just like me. And so what does my spending time look like during the day? Well, if I can manage it, I like to get up in the morning before my children are awake, and that usually doesn't happen. So usually when they're eating breakfast, I tend to spin, I sit at a spinning wheel and spin for 5 or 10 minutes, however long it takes for them to eat breakfast, and then mosey upstairs to get faces washed and teeth brushed and things like that. But most of my spending time comes after we finish homeschool. My kids are in middle school and just started middle school and just started high school. So I don't have little bitty babies anymore like you do, but I do I try to be very present for them during homeschool. So if they have questions, they can ask me. I try to actually work directly with them on some of their schoolwork, especially my youngest, because she has some learning differences and things going on there that require more hands-on attention. So I am sort of ever present during their schools, and that means that I generally don't get any kind of spinning or really filming time for videos until after lunchtime, between, I would say, 1 and 3. At 3:30, my husband, or at 3 o'clock, my husband gets off work. Currently he is in office 3 days a week, so I use those 3 days to really get any filming done, because he's usually in meetings and talking, so I can't really film while he's talking in those meetings. But I spin in the afternoon. I spin in my kitchen when I am cooking lunch and dinner. I often take my e-spinner into the living room with me, and I have this little cart that it all sits on, I got from Target, and I spin with it pulled right up next to me in my recliner. So whether I feel like I'm in a knitting mood or I'm in a spinning mood depends on whether I'll bring the e-spinner in with me or not. But yeah, so that's kind of, I kind of try to eke it out everywhere that I can. Some days I'll actually take a spindle upstairs to our schoolroom and just spin while the kids are working if I don't have anything that I have to actively be doing. So just finding the teeny tiny little moments, because for everybody who's done any kind of like 15, spin 15 a day sort of thing, knows 15 minutes adds up, 5 minutes adds up. So the little like one make, will add up. So I try to pick little nuggets of time that I can grab some spinning. It's kind of like an addiction. You kind of have to try to like sneak some whenever you can. Do my kids spin? They do not. My son loves both my kids love the furry treadle covers that I have on my wheels. So they like to like put their feet on those and pretend that they're treadling so they can feel that on their feet. I have had my son treadle a wheel for me before, and he did a fantastic job. And then just yesterday, I said, we need to get you started drafting. And he's like, yeah, maybe one day. So I'm not sure if that was actual interest or if it was just, shut up, Mom, I'm a gamer. I'm not going to be a spinner. I don't know. I'll have to talk to him more about that. My daughter did try to spin. She was actually quite successful at it, but I think she felt guilty for taking my wheel from me, and so she quit. So I'm not going to buy a wheel just for her. Maybe with the new wheel that is currently in the basement, waiting to be finished because all my finishing supplies are coming. Maybe once the new wheel is here, she'll see that the other wheel is free and she might want to sit down, and maybe I'll have to offer that to her, but who knows, maybe one day, not right now. Channel member Josie says, does plying from a Turkish spindle cup add or remove twists like the singles from a center pull ball? Probably. I imagine the top layer doesn't, and I imagine the inside layer probably does. It really depends on your cup management system. Like, do you hold it steady and then pull from both? Because then both would be, probably one would be adding and one would be removing. But I've plied from traditional like bobbins, 2-ply, and then I've done Turkish spindle cops 2-ply, and I have seen no appreciable difference in my finished yarns. So while people like to say that you're adding twist or you're removing twist when you do that, I really think it's a negligible amount, and you would probably have to have a microscope to be able to see and count the difference in your singles. So I wouldn't worry over much about that. I don't think it's worth the stress and worry about it at all. You are correct though. Wrapping your singles on a cardboard tube does not insert or remove any twist. And same thing with the storage bobbins. I know you had said that you were going to go get some of the Rosie's storage bobbins from the Woolery. Putting your spindle cops directly on that, because you're going side by side, and as long as you are, I guess, untwisting your top layer as you go and don't just let it kind of like unravel itself, but be very mindful, that's not going to do that. And if you have like a drop spindle or a support spindle, that absolutely won't add twist just because of the nature of the cup. Fiber fixation, Elaine says, was my newest video on my new wheel? And that was super fast if it was. It was not. I have had my Majacraft rose for, gosh, a few years. I think it was pre-pandemic. So no, that is not the new wheel. The new wheel is, like I said, downstairs in the basement currently. There is probably, before this video even gets out, there will be a members only video, raw and uncut, of me unboxing the new wheel. But yes, it is here. It is in Chez Sara, and I am waiting on my finishing supplies to come, Lord willing, today, so I can jump into the wonderful world of really, really long and arduous process of finishing this spinning wheel. I say really, really long, and I'm being very dramatic. It's going to be a lot of work, but it's going to take about a month for me to finish it. So you guys will be able to, non-channel members will be able to see the wheel proper, all finished in its glory, probably, I would say, by the end of May. Let's just say that. That gives me probably a couple extra weeks of wiggle room in case something happens. Do I have favorite colors to wear? I I generally just try to wear my favorite colors, period. So I tend to lean into the cooler end of the spectrum. I mean, obviously not today. But I like the blues and the greens and the purples. My face is naturally very red. I have rosacea. And so wearing warmer colors just tends to make me look redder, which doesn't help my self-esteem. So I tend to lean on to the warmer color spectrum. I also tend, if I was to pan it over so you could see my dyed fiber, it's very much in the cooler spectrum. Lots of purples, lots of blues. I very rarely go into the warmer color spectrum, and it's not like I like those colors, but I don't typically wear them, so I don't typically buy that fiber. And I just generally, fiber that sings to me is generally the ones that are in the cooler end of the spectrum. I am a part of a fiber club, and that fiber club generally pushes me well outside of my comfort zone. So it's always good to have other colors coming into your collection. Now, I know that you are a natural color only fan, and I totally applaud you for that. I have a massive, the stuff that I was long drawing with, it is a massive amount of Cormo roving that I'm working my way through. I'm almost finished with 4 bobbins. I probably easily have another 4 bobbins to go, if not more. And I have to take breaks from it because I want to see color. So, do I plan the colors on a spin to get them where I want them? Generally, no. With precious few exceptions, I spin for the joy of spinning, and whatever I get out of it is what I get out of it. There have been times when I spin for a specific project in mind. I'm working on a shawl right now that uses 2 separate yarns. And I spun specifically for that pattern when I was spinning those yarns, so I knew exactly what I wanted. I spun much thicker than I usually do because I wanted to use a thicker yarn. When I spin superwash merino, it is 100% because I'm making socks out of it, so I don't have to worry about color distribution on that, other than we know collectively, my husband and I, because he's the one that I usually knit socks for, that we want shorter color runs, so I break my braids down. I split them long ways into 4 or 8 sections, so the color repeats, instead of being this big, will be this big, and they'll happen more frequently. But you wanted to know my favorite color management technique or techniques. Probably I would say faux lags. I have a video on how to make faux lags, and I would definitely say that that's probably the easiest way to do color management, because as you're making them, you have little sections of fiber and little, you can have gradations of color, and you can rearrange those as you want them. So if you have a braid that goes red, or let's just do red, orange, yellow, because that'll be simple. If you have a braid that goes red, orange, yellow, yellow, orange, red, so it's a palindrome, but you don't want a palindrome, you want a dead color repeat of red, orange, yellow, then you can just break that braid in the midpoint of the yellow and then in the midpoint of the red and flip them and spin them sequentially. Other than that, I would say probably when I had a blending board, I made a set of roll lags, and I had this braid that I wasn't in love with the colors, so I wasn't afraid to experiment with it. So I basically pretended that I was going to put the colors in the color sequence that I wanted them in, and I had small sections of each color, and I rearranged them that way. So when the braid had red, that was first, and then it went to like a tan, and then it went to a burnt orange. And I wanted to flip those, so I put the red and then the burnt orange and then the tan. So you just have to know where your color placement is going to be on your blending board to be able to put the fibers there and then get them off with your dowels and then start over again. So I would say those are my preferred color techniques. I don't have the blending board anymore. I rarely ever used it, and every single time I did use it, I would end up bleeding because I would scuff my knuckles, something terrible. So that was actually part of the de-stash that I did, oh gosh, a little while ago to help fund the new wheel. So, yeah. Let's see. Actually, this is the last thing. This is a quick one today. Elizabeth, can I give tips on making spindle cops neat and even? First thing, if you guys go to the community tab on my YouTube channel, there is a poll right now on 3 different things that you guys could possibly want to see a video on, and you guys can vote on that. But right now, building a spindle cop is winning. So that video will be coming next week. It's a dedicated video just on how to build a spindle cop neatly. Now, I will say that if any of you are subscribers to Ply Magazine and have been for a while, I wrote an article in Ply Magazine, the supported spindle issue, for building a neat cop. So, yes, I have lots of tips and tricks for that. One thing I will tell you right now, I guess is a sneak peek if you've made it this far and you're watching for your question to be answered. Tension is key on your bobbin, or not on your bobbin, on your spindle cop. Consistent tension when you're winding your cop is king. It's very much about laying things down, and I say this in my article. You know how when you look at a hardwood floor or even a laminate floor, they have to make sure everything sits right next to each other and they lock together for a purpose, right? You kind of want your singles to lay down sequentially like that when you're winding, especially your your bottom layers want to be very, very tight and very, very tidy, because those are the foundation of the rest of your cops. So if your cops start lazy, they will finish lazy and they will go all over the place. I wish I had a camera rolling a week or so ago when I was support spinning, because I had my permanent cop down at the bottom of my spindle, but I was almost done with the fiber supply that I was working on, and I had this massive temporary cop going. And with temporary cops, I just like flick them on and let them roll on. I'm not very careful with my temporary cops because they're temporary. And because I wasn't careful, and because it was bigger than I usually make it, because I was really close to the end, it exploded. It went everywhere. And I say it exploded, but it like fell to pieces. The layers slid off of each other. It was a mess. But because it was small and it was the temporary cop, I was able to get it all off, and it didn't snarl or make any knots in my yarn or anything. But had that been my permanent cop, that could have been quite bad. So next week, the video, sneak peek, the video is about building a stable cop, and we're going to do on a support spindle and on a drop spindle, a top whirl drop spindle. I'm not going to do it on a Turkish spindle because I have plenty of videos on that. So yes, I do have tips and tricks for you. I will show you exactly how I build a stable cop. I have several hanging up on my spindle rack right now. And when you press on them with your thumb, they don't give. They're very, very stable. They don't move, they don't slide, nothing. They're stable. So we will get into that next week. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching this. I really, really appreciate each and every one of you. If you haven't already, please give this video a like and a share. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Every one of those things really does help the channel grow and help the channel become more visible to people who may need help spinning. Thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, happy spinning.